Oh, good morning, everyone. Did you know that you have an inner guidance system already built into the package? You don't have to ask for it. You don't have to spend any money to get it. You don't have to petition someone or beg. As a consequence of your divinity, you are born with an inner guidance system. And that guidance system is always present, always available to you. It is yours. And you have it because God so loved you. You have this inner guidance system. And it is my will this morning to talk about it and help us all be more acquainted with that inner guidance system. Now, if we go to the next slide here, next month in September, there's 5 weeks in the month. And starting next week, we're going to do a 5-week series on the 5 unity principles. And so we're going to go into that and expound on each one of the 5 principles in detail to try to see how we can extract some good wisdom from it so that we can use that wisdom to fortify our lives. And this right here is a good illustration of the first 2. One of the more beautiful spiritual metaphors that I really enjoy is the metaphor of the wave and the ocean. And I believe that this metaphor is a beautiful illustration of our individual relationship with the divine. As you see here, this beautiful picture, whoever the photographer was, beautifully captured this cresting wave, and this wave is rising up from the ocean here. The ocean, the vastness of it, can be likened to the vastness of the principle of God. And that wave cresting up, that wave seems to have an individual expression, but really it is an expression, a singular, unique expression of the vastness of God. This captures the first 2 principles very good. Principle number 1, there is only one thing that lives. Out of all the various activities and life forms that we can find throughout the universe, there is only one thing living and one thing expressing, and that is God the good, omnipotence. The second principle is within the vastness of God, since God is everywhere present without an absence, that means that wherever I am, God has to be. That means that whatever I am doing, I am expressing as the divine, uniquely as me. And that is true for you, Bruce, you, Patty, you, Dan, you, Earlene, and each and every one of us here in each and every life form that can be found. We are expressing as the divine. It is our true nature. Because God is always present right where we are, all that is in God, all that is God, is present right where we are. Whether we feel that that is true or not, whether in our more lucid moments when we can see, sense, know, and feel God's presence, or when we're so in the throes of despair, we come to this feeling that God has forsaken us. The divine presence in our lives is not dependent on how we think, how we feel in any given moment. It is always there, always available. And because it is always there, and because the divine is always available, that means guidance is always available. So whenever we find ourselves in moments of strife, moments of challenge, moments of confusion, or moments of crazy, when it all seems to not make sense in what's going on around us, and we're trying to find the straight way to navigate through whatever challenge we're faced with, the guidance that we need to navigate that challenge is already within us. Before I go on, I want you ought to really marinate on that point. Because oftentimes when we feel lost and feel forsaken, it can be hard to consider that we are so divinely and richly blessed and endowed that the guidance that we're seeking is already within us. So, marinate, if you will. Allow that to marinate you and to season your consciousness. And if for some reason it doesn't feel true for you, that's okay. That's okay. And the reason why it's okay is because God is still present. God is still working on that consciousness of yours. And if you stick with it and stay with it and you keep on, eventually you will catch on to this reality. Now, I want to take a couple of different scriptures and I want to put them in focus and put them together to bring about a particular awareness to help crystallize the point that I'm attempting to make here, that your divine guidance system is always with you and always in you. The first scripture comes from Matthew, and since we're going to be talking about will today, it's pretty apropos to be quoting from the book of Matthew, since Matthew is the disciple that represents, according to Charles Fillmore, Matthew is the disciple that represents and embodies this power of will. So I want to quote first from Matthew chapter 6, verse 8. For your Father knows the things you have need of before you ask him. The Father knows the things you have need of before you ask him. God the good, omnipotence, in the vastness of that infinite omnipotence, knows what you need not only before you ask it, but knows what you need even before you think it. Even before you even realize you have that need. That has to be true because the divine is infinite. It's not limited to our own human understanding. So the guidance system that is present within you knows what you need before you need it. The second scripture that I want to buttress that with comes from Matthew again, and this time it's Matthew chapter 7, verse 7. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened to you. I'll read that again. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened to you. So when applying this scripture in terms of divine guidance, let's be very clear about something. Divine guidance is natural. Natural guidance is divine. Divine guidance isn't some special thing that God does on a special occasion when you need it. Because we established earlier that divine guidance is ever present as a continuous flow, it is always available to you. It's nothing that God has to do special or extraordinary. That divine flow is flowing forth all the time. So we don't have to beseech divine guidance. We don't have to reach up or reach out for divine guidance. We simply have to ask, seek, and knock. Now let's talk about what it means to ask, seek, and knock. Oftentimes when we think about asking, it comes in the form of a question or saying please. If divine guidance is already yours, you don't have to ask for it in that sense. The need is to claim it. The need is to affirm that it's present. And the need is to call it forth. Call it forth. So the asking and the seeking and the knocking is more or less a claiming of that divine guidance that you need to navigate through the steps of your life, that you need to be a light unto your feet, to find your way through moments of challenge and moments of question and confusion. You claim it. It's yours already. You don't have to do anything special for it. Even when you don't feel like it's there, and even when you don't feel like you're worthy of it, it's there. Claim it. I was blessed to have an opportunity to do this past weekend. I spent Friday and Saturday in McPherson because I was asked to perform a memorial service for a very lovely woman named Opal Hansen. She was very, very steeped in unity principle, unity teaching. I got to go into her library. She had all the books, Discover the Power Within You, Lessons in Truth. Had all the books, had all the sayings. She visited here frequently. I'm not finding too many people who remember her very well. She spent time at the village. But anyway, it was a blessed opportunity. And out of all the memorials and funerals that I've been asked to do, I've never done one with someone who I either did not know or who was not in my family. All of the funerals that I've been blessed to serve in were funerals where someone I was either deeply close to the family, so close that they considered me as family, or it was actually my own family. So I was pretty nervous, gang. I was nervous. I didn't know if I could really pull it off. I don't know these people. They don't know me. Will they like the fact that I'm bald-headed or not? Monique, I didn't mean to make you spit your coffee up. Would I be able to get along with them? Would I be able to connect with them? So I had a genuine nervousness going into this. So as I began to pray and center in on a spirit and a woman that I did not know, a couple of affirmations came up in a prayer. And these two affirmations anchored me throughout the entire time I was there interacting with the family. Affirmation number one, and this was an affirmation and a claiming of guidance. Affirmation number one, my presence and service makes Opal's heart smile. Because I'm there to honor the sacredness of this particular being that meant so much to so many people, so much so there was standing room only at the mortuary, at the funeral home. I'm sorry. Affirmation number two, my presence and my service deeply ministers to this family. So I took these two affirmations and I affirmed them all weekend long. And I didn't sit in a meditative state waiting for the downloads to come on how to prepare the service, how to prepare my talk, what to do at the graveside. I affirmed them. I got into the feeling tone of these affirmations, and I went to work. I sat with the family and met them at the wake, connecting with as many people as I could, listening to them and listening from the heart, attempting to connect with the heart, hearing about what this dear woman meant to all of these different people. I got a chance to meet her children, her grandchildren. I got a chance to speak with her brother who unfortunately couldn't make the service. In other words, I was doing my thing. I had already claimed the guidance, so that was done. So I didn't need to keep claiming or asking. All I needed to do was go to work, trusting and knowing that as I worked and interacted with this dear family, that what I needed to say would be said. What I needed to do would be done. How I needed to hold space would naturally occur. And so I had the opportunity to go through the weekend and really, really enjoy the experience to the degree and extent that serving can be fulfilling. It was definitely a sad time for the family, and I was there to hold space for the family, but it was a rewarding, fulfilling experience in that this family entrusted me with the sacredness of their loved one, and to honor and carry that sacredness in a way that reflected the beauty of this woman and at the same time was a comfort to the family. And so we went through the experience and had the funeral service and the graveside service yesterday. And I just do my thing and put no judgments to it. And judging from the feedback, or listening to the feedback rather, it seemed as though God's mission was accomplished. But what I did was I claimed the guidance that I needed and then got myself out of the way so that I could serve. That's just one example of many examples I can think of in my life where I've claimed that guidance. Now, through that experience, I want to highlight 3 things on how we can make this work in our own lives. And unfortunately, I don't have a slide to really talk about the 3 things. But here's where will comes in. The power of will is the ability to choose, decide, command, lead, and determine. It's that executive faculty of mind. And will has two predominant expressions. Being willing, which is the state of being open, available, humble, surrendering. In the example that I gave, I claimed the guidance and I did my best to become willing to what came to me to do in the way of honoring Opal and serving her family. I didn't want to force my ego into it or force my thought into it. I wanted to go and flow as directed. The other expression is being willful, which is the state of being forceful, assertive, or aggressive. Now, granted, to be fair, there are times in life where being forceful and assertive might be the godly response. If someone is assaulting you and you have to take actions to defend yourself, I don't think surrender would be the right thing to do in that particular moment. You would have to take some sort of action in order to forcefully defend or protect yourself or protect your family. However, when it comes to relating to God and allowing the divine, the oneness of God that you share, allow that to come in and lead and give you guidance, it requires more of a willing consciousness, more humbling, surrendering, and I know many spiritual people don't like that word, surrender, but it's exactly what is needed. So the key in developing this power of will is knowing when to be willful, making the choice to be willing, knowing during those particular times where it might be necessary to be willful and have that command. But it's always, when it relates to God, we want to be in a willing consciousness. We want to be open and available to our good, open and available to our abundance, open and available to the blessings of health and prosperity and well-being and love and joy and beauty and all those wonderful things that come as part of the package of being one with God. So in being willing, in being available, we can experience the bounty of what God has for us. Now, I want to talk again about those three key things and how we can activate the divine guidance which we naturally have. Know it, claim it, go to work. Know that divine guidance is yours. You don't have to request it. It doesn't require an act of Congress. You don't have to visit with the minister or the pastor and have that person pray it into your experience. You have it as a default state of being a vessel of living God's life. Know that. Accept it. And if you have trouble accepting it, accept it anyway. There's something to be said about practicing the presence of God. You may not be fully sure when you get to practicing it, but if you keep on, you'll eventually catch on. So when you know it, then claim it. Go into your affirmations and your affirmative prayer and claim the guidance that you seek. If it's prosperity that you're wanting in your life, claim that prosperity and claim to receive and claim the guidance that you need to take the steps that you need to take, and moreover, be the kind of person that you need to be so that that prosperity naturally flows into your life effortlessly. If it's more love that you want to experience, be love. And in being love, that guidance that will enable you, equip you, and empower you to be more loving and be love will naturally come into your life. Claim it. It's yours. If you don't hear anything else I'm saying today, claim the guidance that you already have. And when you claim it, don't doubt it. Start walking in that direction. Act as if you are being divinely guided. Even if you go forward and make a mistake, you have already claimed the guidance and you have already claimed pure intentions. So even if in your journey and in your process you make a mistake along the way, because you're claiming guidance, part of the package is you will be shown the mistake, as well as shown the steps in which to heal said mistake. Gang, you have to know that each and every one of you are the presence of the divine in action. God did not make a mistake when he made each and every one of you's beautiful selves. I don't care if you have acne. I don't care if you stutter when you speak. I don't care if you look in the mirror and you don't think that you look your greatest. I don't care if you have crooked teeth. I don't care how lowly you may think of yourself. You exist. And the fact that you exist means that you exist to live. You exist to have being. And for as much as you feel as though you are living life, the reality is life is living you. You are no mistake. You are no accident. You are the very beautiful, essential, loving presence of the divine in action. I want you to celebrate that fact. I want you to know it. I want you to claim it. And I want you to walk in it because it is true. And when you do that, you bring blessings upon yourself and you bring a flowering blessing within the world. You really do. Claim that. Own it. It's yours. As always, I hold you all in very sacred space. And into that sacred space, I speak a simple word of prayer. Life, light, and love to you all. God bless you.